Baseball is meaningless and does not matter. Let's talk about that. Folks, welcome to the Baseball Brewhaha. We got more fun stuff to talk about. We kind of started this conversation last week about baseball. We're going to dive into the same book, which is, or react to some comments from the same book, The Year of the Pitcher. And this is a little different direction, related, I think. But before we do that, Adam, I got some new swag. New memorabilia. This one's going to blow your mind. You
I'm
ready?
excited. Let's see it.
Bam.
What do we have a bear in a Rockies uniform.
Yep. This is, let me get it in there. It's a collectible
Okay.
inaugural year, 474 out of 2,500. I got this, one of my bosses gave it to me.
Okay.
So anyway, I went with the all Rockies gear.
Yeah, you really doing it up. I noticed the hat and the shirt. Now
Yeah,
you
I
got
had
the bear.
the bear. The bear dialed it in. So the kids love the bear. He's got what looks to be a dislocated hip. Fortunately, he doesn't have to play. So Adam, I'm going to read this passage here from this book.
There better be more than what you shared at the top, because a baseball book in which it says baseball's meaningless, I'm concerned.
Okay. Well, there's some context because it does carry over from what we talked about last time, which was in summary sort of this idea that we want baseball to be more than it actually is. So all right, with that, here we go. With that, he and his friends began to wander through the 65,000 foot space whose owners had deemed it the largest and best collection of vendors for collectibles. Walking through the miscegenated displays, that word means like basically like a awkward marriage sort of a thing. Displays of wrestling figurines and transformers, past the comic book stalls and booths and people selling collectible pins, I realized that all this told the current story of America today, not baseball. That year in 2012, only 12.6 million people bothered to watch the World Series. The game of Gibson and McLean, Sane and Drysdale seemed very much in the past. Adam, what do we got?
Well, I was thinking that was going to be connected to the context of the baseball's meaningless quote, and I'm not making the connection. So,
Well, I mean, so he's basically saying that that as much as we want baseball to be more culturally relevant, it's less culturally relevant than all the collectibles and all the like when I thought about it, it was like when you see everybody chasing the Shohei 1 of 1, all the memorabilia, wanting it to be like the premier card that, I mean, maybe it's because you want to be rich or whatever reason, but I think what I'm reading here as I read this is that there's much more of an obsession about the collectibles and, you know, perhaps making a buck off of those rather than the game itself.
I disagree wholeheartedly.
Okay, let's go.
The reason why that card has any value at all is based on the performance of a player who's playing games that matter and doing things that matter to people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one part of why I disagree so much, because
Mm-hmm.
that's where the value comes from. If like you you could create the same card of Tommy Lasorda and you don't get
Mm-hmm.
anything out of that. Like there's not the same value there because he's not playing the game and he's not playing it at the level that Shohei is. On the other side of it, the not the other side, but another component of that is uh, the number of people who are watching a baseball game is much larger than the number of people who are trying to acquire a one of one Shohei Ohtani baseball card.
Mm-hmm.
I think that number is quite small, and I think the obsession that the author is talking about is a relatively small group of people, um, and and there's a larger, when it comes to culture, like the sports memorabilia side of it is a subculture of baseball and of other
Mm-hmm.
sports too, but we're talking baseball here. So it's a subculture of baseball. So I go to games, I go to with friends, I go with family, I go with kids. None of us are chasing the one of one Shohei or paying thousands of dollars for memorabilia. And my sense is that is the typical baseball experience. So if you're talking about what's the culture of baseball, it's not cards. If you're talking about the impact of baseball on culture, I would say that, you know, it's a pretty small slice of culture in terms of like memorabilia specifically.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a fascinating topic. Thinking about this, so I think I've thought a lot about this in sort of this context of like something is it worth doing if there's no um, monetary value attached to it? Okay, so um, because you see sort of like you know the bloggers and the everybody trying to start like just like trying to turn their life into something that makes money and trying to pick up a hobby because perhaps I can parlay that into a side hustle that earns me some income, and almost this idea that it doesn't count for anything if it doesn't make you money. Does that make sense? And so like this hobby, the collectibles side of things is there's people that have made a profession out of that, but then it's kind of like you know I don't know. It's sort of the why. What's your motivation for collecting, and and you know that's sort of the angle that I've been thinking about it from because I'm like you. I have some things, some collectible things, and I look for like specific things in a specific context. It's really difficult to explain my collection because it's not. I'm not looking for just anything. Even this bear is a stretch, you know. But I'm not just looking for anything and buying like spending $100 or $1,000 to find some value card that I could flip for $1,200. Like it's not that's not part of my collection game. Um, but it's I've had this thought in at various times of the whole thing of is it worth doing if you don't make any money at it? And I mean I know what the answer is, but that's where my mind goes in this whole collectibles and the game and all that kind of thing is sort of like if if you don't get the viewers, if you you don't get the thing. You're not as big as football or basketball or whatever. Does it not count?
Yeah. So your takeaway from the author is a reflection. The author is sort of reflecting the cultural movement of where value is.
Yeah, I mean, whether to say it's my takeaway from what he said is maybe not 100% accurate. It's more what I am thinking about reading
Hmm.
his words is that he certainly has a point in the sense of um, like when I think about so here would be sort of my kind of example of that. So let's just take the Shohei 101 super, you know, card, whatever. It makes me curious the people who are chasing that card, what is their relationship to the game? Certainly they depends on who it is, certainly. But it could be argued that the people who actually are like chasing this kind of memorabilia and like playing the game of getting the money and all that kind of thing, probably not universally, but it may be that that game is far more important to them than the game of baseball. And I think that's maybe part of what he's getting at here is that the collectibles and all these other things are sort of a thing of separate from the game of baseball. And is it the love of that is more prevalent than it is the love of the game?
Well, this is where I think about these things as two different overlapping activities, you know.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And the I think this is true of to I mean maybe to your point, this is an extension of your point. I think this is true of many things. Like whatever is being monetized may not be uh, a reflection of the essence of the activity itself.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, you try and figure out how to make money whittling.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really the at the core of what whittling is about
Mm-hmm.
and how it began as like maybe an art form or you know
Yeah.
something else that created some sort of cultural value, and now people are trying to monetize that, and so then uh, that arm of that activity is its own thing,
Mm-hmm.
just like with memorabilia
Right.
collection. I wouldn't even, and I think maybe this is kind of uh, I don't know, an error, or maybe not an error, but just um, an inaccurate or incomplete sort of overlapping of baseball with anything else that's associated with baseball. Uh, be,
Mm-hmm.
because they are the like collecting baseball cards is a different thing from baseball, and they overlap
Mm-hmm.
in that the value of the cards is based somewhat on what happens in the game of baseball. So the players who
Mm-hmm.
play better on teams that play better
Mm-hmm.
tend to have more value.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking about this in the context of your and I our experience with collecting because um, we this comes up in the entry that I have in the book, My Baseball Story. I assume you can find on Amazon. Um, Coffee table book. I have my first ever being published in there, and we talked about I talked about our experience with baseball cards, and like we would get copies of Beckett. We'd like look up the value of the cards and stuff, but at least in my mind, that's more just sort of an exercise in like I don't even know what, just kind of the that's just what you do. Never in a million years did I ever think, and even now today, the thought of, especially that sort of the original cards that we collected growing up, selling those, getting rid of them, giving them away, does not even cross my mind. I perish the thought. I collect cards now, kind of, but I actually do it more to give them away to kids and friends and things like that, um, than it is for me to keep them for myself. But perish the thought of our original collection, and that thing is worth nothing. I mean, really, because all the cards are bent, creased, and corners and everything ruined. But we just did it so not in a collector's fashion at all. And so I don't. It's just like we have this. You could call it a large collection of memorabilia. We've got stuff at our parents' house that's on display and that kind of thing. But I don't know, very different sort of the different than how I see like on YouTube and other things of card collectors today. It's like that's not how we did cards.
For us, it was about connected. It was about staying connected to the game. Like
Mm-hmm.
when if we're not watching a game, or if it's not the season, or we're not able to watch our favorite players, um, it was a way for us to stay connected to the game. and and I think that's still true. And even now, for me anyway, opening especially cards from our youth connects me to the experience of baseball
Mm-hmm.
when I was young. And
Yeah.
again, these are different things that people are focusing on, where it's like creating a business trying to make money off of cards. That's a business. If you
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
collectibles are a part of everyday life all of the time. I mean, I coach basketball, and today was the last game of the season. Everyone wanted to take a team picture at the end of the day. What's that for? It's a collectible, essentially, to
Mm-hmm.
remind you of that experience so you could look back on it and feel connected to that experience.
Yeah.
And no one's selling that for sure, to make any kind of money. But the purpose of that is different. It's not business. It's about connecting you to the game, connecting you to the players of the game, because you have some kind of connection that you want to maintain. And so that makes me think about what I was talking about last week, where it's like an individual game of baseball. It's not the point. Our experience of baseball is in a broader context. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason why we collect cards or have memorabilia is about in like deepening or enriching that connection to the game.
Yeah, that's very well said. I feel like I can't. I just I. You're next level here with your philosophizing is fantastic. It's well said. Um, it's interesting though you say like that one game. I can't remember how you said it, but the one game doesn't necessarily like like it's a broader context that matters. Though, and I agree with you. Though it's interesting that like one game, like one person going to one game, isolated incident could like could have a dramatic impact on their life. So, I mean, we read the stories in the book of My Baseball Story, going to a game or meeting this player or this random thing, whatever it is. Like these are vivid memories that these people have sometimes 20, 30, 40, 50 years later. That these are stark I mean, very clear memories for them that have shaped them in some way. And so the game does that. And so it's one of those things where I feel like it's like I have a hard time explaining. We talked about this before. Like somebody says, like, what is it about baseball that like captivates you? In some ways, I don't have an answer. Like it just does. Like, and a lot of that is things that we've talked about. It's connection to family. It's our experience, our coaches, and just the memories that we have that are positive that then flow into generally positive experience when we watch the game today because of for all the things that I don't love about today's game. um, I'm still going to watch the game. I'm still going to watch it. um, and so I was even thinking about um, so obviously with this book that I'm published in now, I like to write. I don't submit tons of stuff for publishing. Um, but one of the things that I started doing that I thought was interesting is I'd open a pack of cards, and instead of just kind of like tearing, just going through the whole pack like you normally would, I just slowly go one card at a time and just reflect on that, and then write something, that some kind of inspiration. And I realized that for me, part of that with this and the draw of that is that um, it's actually a way for me to process my life, to process things that are happening in my life, because it's like it's just like writing down like I feel happy today because this like is really not engaging and it's kind of boring for me, frankly. But when I can write something creative and witty and something like that about something I'm seeing on a baseball card, it allows me to process my life, if that makes sense. So I don't know where I'm going with that in terms of sort of this connection, other than I feel like for me, I understand what you're saying about the collectibles and the game being two different things. Um, I think for me, the and our experience is kind of to your point, is that our sort of collectibles sort of enhances my experience of the game and life and all those things being tied together.
I agree with that completely, and you know that's why we're still you know ripping packs of cards.
Mm-hmm.
32 years later, we got ourselves some Tops 92. We did Donruss 92 last year in an uninspired set, in my estimation.
Mm-hmm.
We got Tops 92, which isn't a whole lot better, but it's got some fun historical connection for us, thinking about the players we watched, connect us to the game and memories that we have. So we're going to get into it. Rip a pack of Tops 92. Enjoy.
It does feel only appropriate that, given the fact that we just talked about memorabilia and stuff, that well, I mean, we should be ripping a pack. If
Oh,
it would be
absolutely.
sacrilege if we didn't.
Yeah. And this pack, I mean, it predates your bear from the start of the show here.
Yeah, like you got a full year on the bear.
Yeah. So here we go. Ripping Tops 92. I'm going to start us off with Kent Herbeck.
Oh, Kent. Oh, 91. Coming off that 91
Yeah.
World Series when he ripped Ron Gant's leg off the bag. Cheater.
Yeah. Chico Walker. Followed by fellow Cub Sid Landrum.
Said Landrum. Okay.
Bobby Witt, father of current superstar Bobby
Bobby
Witt
Witt
Jr.
Jr. Yeah.
Todd Van Poppel.
Mm-hmm.
Glenn Davis. Real Cormier. Warren Newson. Fun fact, if you ever seen the highlight of the minor league player running through the fence to catch a ball,
Mm-hmm.
that was
He
Warren Newson.
he hit it or
He caught
he
it
caught it. Okay.
off the bat of Chip Hale.
Shit, throwback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neil
Mm-hmm.
Heaton,
Mm-hmm.
a little scratch off thing. That
Mm-hmm.
contest probably over. Mike Sharperson. This is not a,
This is as hot as the Ardonner Side
yeah.
pack.
Rick Aguilera,
Okay.
Scott Ruskin, who, Chris James,
Boy, it just gets better.
dial it in. Bill Gullickson,
Man.
and we're gonna finish it off with a Mariner,
Mm-hmm. It's got to be.
Ken Griffey Sr.,
In
folks.
92?
92.
Wow. Okay. Was he wasn't coach then? He was still outfield?
He's listed as an outfielder here.
Okay. Let's see. I just have to look this up here.
I think 91 was his last season, though.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
He played 30
91.
games. Yeah.
So what
But,
happened in 92? How does he have a card in 92?
well, was
Maybe
he
he didn't.
officially retired at that point?
He may not have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going rabbit trail here now.
So we've got really a rough pack when it comes to superstars. The highlight for sure is Ken Griffey Sr.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, we're stretching it.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like with Donruss, let's see here. Um, oh wow, this is Griffey played his final major league game on May 31st, 1991. Okay, so it says in November 91 he retired officially. So as is often the case, the base versions of these packs come out like they get produced and whatnot, like say October, November. So he made anyway. We're getting real technical here in a space that I'm sure everybody's thrilled about. Um, but what were we talking about here?
You were saying something about Donruss 92.
Oh, yeah. I feel like in Donruss 92, as bad as this thing, the whole like base set is, you at least get a Diamond King in there.
Yeah.
You don't get. I mean, is there? I'm trying to think. What's the insert in that set? Nothing.
Well, they have the
The
this was
gold or
the
something.
first year was the year where they had like the gold plated whatever.
Did you get a gold? You didn't get one, did
No,
you?
I didn't get one. No.
I mean,
Uh,
they didn't even like honor you with the dignity.
no.
They just went, here's a heap of trash for you.
Yeah. Well, typically these would have like little like the Topps All rookie cups.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get any of those. Nothing.
Yeah.
Just nothing.
I opened in 92 and I don't remember all the cards that I had out of that, but I did get a Randy Johnson that I gave to my daughter for Christmas. So she was like, I really want a Randy Johnson card.
There you go.
Boom. Boom. So there we go. Well, folks, we have nerded out more than I think is appropriate. Uh, and so, Adam, any parting words? I feel like
Well,
time
for
is good.
those who maybe enjoyed the
Mm-hmm.
nerd out with us. Comment along
Yeah, do.
on anything
Mhm.
from today's show. Send
I
us your thoughts.
I mean, I don't know. Most people aren't hanging around this far. I mean, hanging around at all at any point. But um, it would be fascinating to learn other people's like collectible journey, and if that journey has in any way continued to today.
Yeah.
Because like how I collect today is very very different than how I collected, which should be. I'm no longer 12 years old. Um, but um, but anyway, love to hear from you. So
Yeah.
thanks for hanging with us, everybody. I and we'll be back at it again next week. Thanks for hanging with us.